Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the October 4, 2023 City Planning Commission meeting. I learned something yesterday. It's the 10th is your last chance to place a vote for the fattest bear entering hibernation at Katmai National Park in Alaska. So make sure you go online and search for that, see which one's going to be the fattest bear that goes in hibernation. It's kind of cool. Something else I want to announce, I just want to do a small recognition for Commissioner Rojas. As you know, last month was Hispanic Heritage Month, and I saw him on the Chiefs scoreboard. They were celebrating him and work and service that he's provided to this country and to everybody. So I just want to say thank you for that and for all your service and everything you've done. So I appreciate that. If you want to learn more about Commissioner Rojas, there is a nice story on the Chiefs.
It's a great honor, and I accept it in the name of all those who serve and continue to serve, and especially those who do not make it back home.
Thank you. All right. So we appreciate you being here today, and the commissioners look forward to hearing your case. We understand every project is important and unique. And we want to make sure that we address all of the docketed items individually with the attention that they deserve to build consensus between the applicant, public, and city staff. We also believe we can reach consensus by being brief yet heard. Because our meeting is recorded and virtual, we have time limits for the cases that we hear, which is 5 minutes for staff presentations and 20 minutes for the applicant, plus any questions by the commission. When we move to public comment, I will call on those who are with us here in the council chambers, followed by those who are joining us virtually. Public comments are expected to be no longer than 2 minutes when speaking as an individual, or up to 5 minutes when representing a larger group or a community association. In all instances, please limit repetitive comments. Also, those of you that are joining us virtually, please help us keep the meeting on track by being ready to speak when promoted with your camera on and unmuted. So as we get started with our meeting, I asked staff to provide some additional ground rules for us and instructions to ensure that we have minimal disruption and maximum clarity. So can you remind us of those rules, please?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Main thing is to keep in mind that we have two groups of attendees today, those that are in the chamber and those that are participating on Zoom. If you're on Zoom, you're broken down into two further categories. Those include participants and panelists. Thank you. In order to speak or share video, you have to be promoted to a panelist position. So if you are a member of the applicant team wishing to speak, please raise your hand in Zoom when the case is called and we'll promote you over. You do have to accept the promotion to move over. The same is true for any member of the public wishing to testify during public hearing. Please raise your hand during the planner's presentation and we will promote you over as well. If you are interested, you need to raise your hand before the public hearing starts. Once we promote everyone over, we generally do not promote additional people. And then finally, the chat feature in Zoom is intended only for questions regarding the docket as well as technology related questions and should not be used for any discussion of the merits of the case. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's go ahead and begin with the consent agenda items. You can call those out, please.
Sure. Docket item C1 is case number CPC 2023-00148. Request to approve a project plan in District M15 to allow for construction of a restaurant on 2 acres at Cookingham Drive and North Stark Avenue. Staff recommends approval with conditions. Docket item C2 is case number final plat 2023-00002. Request to approve a final plat in District R1.5 on about 15 acres on east and west sides of North Granby Avenue, north of Berry Road, to allow for the creation of 2 residential lots containing 86 units. Staff recommends approval with conditions. And that's the end of our consent docket.
Okay, any questions from the commissioners regarding docket item C1 or C2? Is there a way that I can see Commissioner Enders? I can't see him on our screen, or at least at the top or something. There we go. Yeah, sorry about that. I know, Commissioner, I was hoping you showed up with a patch.
I know. I'm getting a patch later today. It scratched cornea.
Oh, okay. Seeing no questions, let's go ahead and open it up for public comment. If there's anybody out there that would like to speak regarding docket items C1 or C2, please come forward or raise your hand using the Zoom feature and you'll be called upon.
Mr. Chair, no one's raising their hand on Zoom, and it appears no one in the chamber is wishing to speak.
Okay, we'll go ahead and close public testimony then, and I'll take a motion, please.
I move to approve docket items C1 and C2 with conditions.
Need a second, please.
Second,
Okay, so I've got a motion and a second for approval of docket items C1 and C2. Giovanni, can you take a roll call on that motion, please?
Baker,
Aye.
Aye.
Andrews,
aye.
Rojas,
Aye.
All right, looks like the motion passes and 4-0 on those two items. Is there a way to turn the microphones down? They're so sensitive. I feel like I got to
Very
be Barney
sensitive.
Fife in this thing.
Alex gonna try, but he is not the expert on this stuff. None of us are in here. He'll try.
Okay, I'll speak like Barney Fife at the Christmas then. All right, so let's move on to the cases, the regular docket items that are looking to be continued to a future date.
All right, our first continuance request is docket item number 5. This is case number CPC 2023-00130. Request to approve a development plan for the Blue Valley Plaza Townhomes located at Little Blue Road and Lee Summit Road. The applicant requests continuance to October 17th. The staff recommends with fee. Docket item number 6 is case number SUP 2022-00056. Request to approve a special use permit for a restaurant at 2032 Summit Street. The applicant requests continuance to October 17th and staff recommends with fee. Docket item number 7 is case CPC 2023-00140. Request to approve a development plan, which also serves as a preliminary plat to allow 263,000 square feet of data center buildings in District M2-2 at 2801 Northwest Cookingham Drive. The applicant is requesting continuance to November 7th and staff recommends without fee. Docket item 8, case CPC 2023-00138. A request to approve a rezoning from District AG-R to District M2-3 at the same location as above. The applicant is requesting continuance to November 7th and staff recommends without fee. Docket item 9, case number CPC 2023-00139. Request to approve an area plan amendment to the KCI area plan for the same property as mentioned with docket items 7 and 8. The applicant is requesting continuance November 7th. Staff recommends without fee. Docket item 10, case CPC 2023-00142. Request to rezone about 3 acres from District R 2.5 to District M1-5 at the southeast corner of Leeds Traffic Way and Cleaver Boulevard. The applicant is requesting continuance to October 17th and staff recommends without fee. Docket item 11, case SUP 2023-00022. A request to approve a special use permit in District B1-1 to allow for the expansion of an existing gas station on about half an acre at Northeast Vivian Road and North Lawn Avenue. The applicant is requesting continuance to October 17th and staff recommends with fee. And docket item number 12, case CPC 2023-00085. Request to rezone about 10 acres from District R 7.5 to District R 80 at Blue Ridge Boulevard and East 29th Street. The applicant is requesting continuance to October 17th and staff recommends without fee. So all the docket is correct in all of these continuance cases with the exception of 7, 8, and 9, which are companion cases. And in that case, the continuance request is to November 7th.
Okay. All right, any questions from the commission regarding continuance of these docketed items? Okay, so at this time, let's go ahead and open it up for public testimony. If anybody would like to speak regarding continuance of docket items 6 through 12, please come forward or raise your hand using the email. Come on up. You can sit or go. Yeah, that's just as easy. Yep.
Yeah, my name is Riyad Baghdadi. I was wondering if you can hear the gas station expansion at Vivian Road today,
Okay, number 11.
number 11.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
thank
we're
you.
looking to continue that to October 17th.
No, is it possible to hear it today?
I didn't have a report on that one, so I don't have anything to review on that, so I don't think we can hear it till the next meeting.
You can.
Yeah,
All right, thank you.
okay, thank you. Anybody else from the public wish to speak?
Mr. Chair, there's no one on Zoom raising their hand.
Okay, I'll take a motion then. Oh, sorry, we need to close public testimony then, and I'll take a motion, please.
Move to continue docket items 5, 6, 10, 11, and 12 as noted on the docket, and move to continue docket items 7, 8, and 9 to November 7th without fee.
Second.
Okay, so I've got a motion and a second for continuance, docket items 5 through 12, with the changes made. Giovanni, can you take roll call on that motion, please?
Baker,
Aye.
Prowl,
Aye.
Enders,
Aye.
Rojas,
Aye.
Okay, looks like the motion passes for continuance of those cases then. Okay, let's go back to docket item number 1, please.
All right, docket item 1 is case number SUP 2023-00045. The request to approve a special use permit for a tavern / nightclub and entertainment venue within the Main Street Overlay District on about 1 acre at 3901 Main Street. Anna Naniski is the staff planner.
Good morning.
Morning.
As previously mentioned, we're discussing docket item number 1. This is case CD SUP 2023-00045. The property in question is 3901 Main Street. It is currently zoned B4-5, and the applicant is seeking approval of a special use permit to site a bar or entertainment venue on the subject site.
Anna, we can't see your presentation,
Thank you.
and I don't know if
That's my fault.
I don't know that it's you. I think it might be the screen itself.
No, it's literally my fault. 1 second.
Giovanni or Alec, do you have any idea how to get this right screen? Oh, never mind. Okay.
No, yeah, that's my fault. That was my error. Thank you. This special use permit is being reviewed because within the Main Street Overlay District, bars with a gross floor area equal or greater to 3,000 square feet requires a special use permit. So the site in question is located in the Midtown portion of Kansas City, Missouri. Here is a close-up of the subject site. We have 2 views, a close-up version and then one a little zoomed out so you can see approximately where it is along Main Street. It's at the corner of 39th and Main Street, which is just northeast of Westport Road and the Westport Entertainment District. So the property owner and the tenant, they are looking to remodel a portion of the building into this bar. The site plan has been reoriented, so north is facing towards the bottom of the screen, so you can better get a good look that this section of the building is being renovated for this bar use with some patio. This is a look at the building in question from Google Street View. And the review criteria for a special use permit is on the screen. I'm not going to go into each item, just the 2 items that I believe show its compliance with the review criteria. First being B, is this project in an interest of public convenience and not having any adverse impacts on the general welfare of the neighborhood or community? So we are seeing lots of development spurred by the streetcar, a wide variety of uses, and a bar, innately doesn't mean anything bad for the district, especially one in close proximity to an existing nightlife district. So we do believe that this is a good use for Main Street. As well, with review item D, is this compatible with the surrounding character, in terms of operational characteristics, hours of operation, lighting, other type of traffic generation. So again, this is adjacent to a streetcar stop. We see high activity uses in and around streetcar stops. And there are other bars, restaurants, entertainment venues all along Main Street. And again, particularly in close proximity to this one, with Westport just being a few blocks away. So this is compatible with the surrounding area as well. So due to those two things, as city staff, we recommend approval subject to conditions. And that concludes my staff report about this item. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the commissioners regarding docket item number 1? Nope. Okay, let's go ahead and welcome the applicant then, if the applicant's available.
Looks like Lauren Jensen is raising her hand, so I'm promoting Lauren.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, you guys can hear me. Hi, my name is Lauren Jensen. I am the director for Exact Partners, and I'm speaking on behalf of the landlord for this building today. So the group that came to us and wants to put this bar into this location, we support. We think they'll be great for Main Street. We're very sensitive to the fact that Main Street overlay is there to make certain protections for the area. And we believe that this use is perfect. The owners of the bar have done a great job to try to mitigate any concerns of the neighborhood. We had an excellent public engagement meeting with some surrounding business owners, as well as the representatives from Southmoreland neighborhood, who would be the relevant neighborhood for this area. But yeah, we're really excited about it. And thank you very much for taking a look at our request today.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the commissioners to the applicant? Not a fire drill, right? I did have one question. Is it just the piano bar we're doing right now, or is it the whole building and then everything else will be phased in?
Right. So this is an existing building. This is the only site that's included that we're applying for an SUP for this project. The rest of the building is office mostly. We purchased the building 2 years ago and it was probably 40% vacant. We've since put in 2 new businesses that are office spaces in the upper floor. Other than that, the rest of the building will stay as is now.
Okay. And then we had no issues with the parking on this site. I know Commissioner Baker, you'd like to get rid of parking, but. Okay. I think they've hit everything on the parking piece itself, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else from the commissioners? Commissioner Enders?
No, thank you though.
All right, so at this time, let's go ahead and go to public testimony. If there's anybody out there who would like to speak regarding docket item number 1, please come forward or raise your hand using the Zoom feature and you'll be called upon.
Mr. Chair, there's no one in the chamber that wishes to speak and no one on Zoom has raised their hand.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and close public testimony. Anything else from the applicant on this case?
No, thank you. If anyone has any questions, we're happy to answer them.
Okay. With that, we'll close testimony, and if there's nothing to discuss, I'll take a motion, please.
I move to approve docket item 1 with conditions.
Second.
We got a motion and a second to approve docket item number 1 with conditions. Giovanni, can you take roll call on that motion, please?
Baker,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Sanders,
Aye.
Rojas,
Aye.
Okay, looks like the motion passes in 4-0. Thank you for bringing it in, and good luck as you move forward. All right, with that, let's move to docket item number 2. Really wish we could get something with the microphone. It is really annoying.
Someone from our communications office is working on it back there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Docket item 2 is case CPC 2023-00134. Request to approve the KCI Intermodal PIEA General Development Plan pursuant to the Missouri Plan Industrial Expansion Authority law on about 4,000 acres within an area generally bordered by the KCI Airport to the north, 152 highway on the south, and Interstate 29 on the east, and Interstate 435 on the west. Olafua Baji is the staff planner.
Thank you, Joe. Good morning, Mr. Chair. Let me make sure I'm sharing my screen before. Thank you. This next case is a request for approval of the KCI Intermodal PIE plan. And my presentation is going to be brief, as Mr. Porter will be doing the bulk of this presentation. The development team should be Will Norton, Mr. Rena is in the back, and Jim Porter is on the podium with me. Again, the site is located in the north and kind of wraps around the airport, just around the airport, north of 152, east of 435, and kind of west and south of I-29. So it's within this quadrant. Again, this is the site highlighted in yellow. It's about 4,000 acres in total site. It currently houses a mix of uses, which include industrial, commercial, and a lot of vacant land. All the parcels within this is owned by the city. The request again before you is for PIA plan. This is one of our first PIA we're doing that does not involve findings of light. So Mr. Porter will go into details on what this is. So I will come back to my recommendation following his presentation, and I'll let this go and then order. That's not you. No, that's not you. No, you need the flash. Done already? You got it.
Mr. Chair, sorry about that.
See what I mean? Barney 5.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, thank you. Jim Potter, Development Initiatives, 3965 West 83rd Street. Representing the Plan Industrial Expansion Authority. This is a little bit different PIA project. This is more of a proactive planning effort in conjunction with the city, city manager's office, and the aviation department. As Olafua mentioned, this is a fairly large, you still hear me? Yeah, okay. This is a fairly large area. It's a little over 4,000 acres. One owner, department, owns the entire area, will continue owning it. The intent of this is to spur private investment on public land. There's a myriad of different uses that are planned for this project. Current conditions are vacant, undeveloped industrial area. We do have a large portion of this area that is undeveloped, heavy, dense vegetation. There's no infrastructure included in this area. This plan does include the former TWA overhaul base, which is the ATS super hangar, as well as the Jet Midwest buildings 1 and 2. Those were built between 1956 and 1974. The average age of those structures is 61 years. Cumulatively, those account for a little over 5 million square feet of space. Of that, 45% of that is vacant. It was designed and developed for a single tenant, that being TWA at the time, and it's not designed for current industrial manufacturing or distribution uses. As I mentioned, the area is vacant, undeveloped industrial. Approximately 11% of the entire area is currently developed. The balance is undeveloped. There are portions of the planning area that are within a floodplain, which necessitates different development and construction methods to overcome that and develop buildable pad sites. As I mentioned, it's vacant industrial. Zoning is KCIA. The recommendation through this plan is to in that zoning classification for the purposes of the aviation department. Design guidelines are through the KCI area plan, and the standard benefits would be those allowable through current city ordinances. There are 2 primary projects that are proposed for this area, one being the phase 2 of the KCI Intermodal Business Center. This would incorporate the development of undeveloped industrial parcels and the construction of 3 industrial buildings of approximately 1.2 million square feet. The estimated project budget is a little over $117 million. Estimated job creation from that following construction is approximately 500, and proposed start date is spring of 2024. This plan does contemplate new property tax revenue as well as earning tax revenue. Currently, the existing property does not have any property tax revenue coming through this as it's undeveloped, and there are no earning tax revenues being captured presently. The second piece of this would be the, and I'm sure many of the commissioners have read about the proposed solar farm that is south and west of the airport. Estimated budget of this is approximately $62 million. It's going to be a 500 megawatt facility, which at some point could power up to 70,000 households. We do not have any job creation numbers on this or permanent job numbers, but see there that it's a fairly large area. Now, just to take a step back, as I mentioned, this is a little bit out of the ordinary for PIA. I think the commissioners can recall that in order to have a PIA project, you have to have a finding of blight or a finding of an insanitary area or finding that it's undeveloped industrial area. In this case, since the property is primarily industrial, land use is industrial, we are looking at an undeveloped industrial area finding. That definition is identified in the revised statutes of Missouri, section 100.310, subsection 18. Not going to go through this. a little bit lengthy. This is effectively a two-part test to find one of these initial 5 factors. I'll go into the first 2 factors because that's essentially what we found out there. Factor 1 is defective or inadequate street layout, location of physical improvements, obsolescence, and inadequate subdivision, or parcels of land which are not used economically. And then factor 2 is any area which contains old and obsolete buildings, plants, and structures. And that in turn leads to the second part of the test. This part would be the triggering of causation 1, which retards the economic or social growth. In this case, it's economic growth, or causation number 2, which creates an economic waste. We did identify factors 1 and 2 present, and those both lead to causes 1 and 2. Go into this a little bit further. Factor 1, as I mentioned, it's undeveloped industrial. There's no vehicular connections, there's no streets, no road networks, etc. There's no pedestrian connectivity. We do have floodplain issues on portions of the planning area. We do have lack of utility connections, which includes electrical, water, perry sewer, and storm sewer. A flood impact, a flood zone impact, as I mentioned. These are just some representative photos of some of the undeveloped area. That leads us to factor 2, which is any area which contains old, decaying, obsolete buildings, plants, or structures. This primarily contemplates the old TWA overhaul base. I won't go through this again, but it's pretty antiquated. It was built over 61 years ago, and it's pretty large, and a significant portion of it is vacant. And again, here's some more representative photos. You can kind of see some of the deterioration as we go through this. Vacancies, obviously. Just general wear and tear throughout the years. It should be noted that up in the upper left-hand corner, those white pipes are suspect asbestos covered pipes. They have not been tested or remediated, but at some point those need to be accounted for and properly disposed of. So this runs to our second part of the test. It's primarily an economic argument. As I mentioned before, this is a repetitive slide. We will experience a pretty significant development budget here, as well as construction of over 1 million square foot of distribution and light manufacturing. We do have property tax revenue as well as earning tax revenue. And again, we have the solar farm construction. This is all repetitive info, so I won't go into it. But based on our site inspections, as well as all our other due diligence, we did find that the area does contain conditions which warrant a finding of a undeveloped industrial area. And I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the commission? Commissioner Enders, any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Looks like a big project. So there's already some, from my standpoint, I was looking at track 6, 3, 4, and 6, maybe 5. So there's already some activity to redevelop that. Would that be redeveloped as part of repairs, overhaul for other jets or other companies?
Yeah, I think the thought is to redevelop those 3, the former overhaul base at some point. I'm not sure of the tenancy right now. Mario's here. Mario with the city manager's office, so he might be able to answer that. But this area does also include the new fire department structure as well as the police department structure. It just contemplates more public investment as well as private investment within those boundaries.
Okay, and tract 1 is where that potential warehousing would be.
That's correct. It'd be phase 2 of the KCI Intermodal Business Center.
Okay. Okay. And then all of tract 2 is reserved for the solar farm.
Correct.
Okay. All right. All right, seeing no questions, let's go ahead and open it up for any public testimony. If there's anybody out there that would like to speak regarding docket item number 2, please raise your hand or come forward and you'll be called upon. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Mario Vasquez, Assistant City Manager. Been working with the developer, aviation department, law department to try to establish a way to ensure that investment at grounds that are owned by the airport can proceed with the full benefit of tax abatement when merited. So I think the work that is being presented to you here leads us to that effort, and I would urge your support for it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else like to speak regarding docket item number 2? Okay, is there anybody online?
David McCoubry was promoted.
Okay. Morning, Mr. McCoubry.
Good morning, Chairman Crowell. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Good to hear him.
We fixed the audio.
Okay. Good. Okay. All right, with that, we'll go ahead and close public testimony then. Anything else to add before in here?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Olafu, anything?
I just got to wrap up with my recommendation.
Okay.
And my conditions. Let me just bring, I had 3 conditions on this, and I just realized I was not part of your, sorry, I have the wrong remote. It was not part of your exhibit, but staff's recommendation today is to remove 2 of those conditions and replace it with a 3rd condition.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and share that with you.
Okay.
And I also give a quick background on why. So the 2 first conditions will be deleted. The
Hold on, Olafu. I can only see it on one screen and can't see it all. It's too blown in. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, sorry about that. So the 2 conditions that staff recommend can be deleted, and it has to do with rezoning to UR. And generally, when we get any incentive package, there's a general condition to rezone to UR. After reviewing the code with Joe, we realized that it says that you can only be eligible for UR. Again, in this case, there's no finding of blight, and so it's just an eligibility requirement. Staff is okay with removing the requirement to have any project within the plan be rezoned to UR. So what I'm asking, and this condition reads that the plan be revised to include a language within the plan that requires pre-application consultation with city planning, which is DMD, prior to filing an application for individual projects, and that they follow applicable procedures of the code. This is to determine the appropriate entitlement process and provide review to ensure that the correct application is filed. And I will clean this up. The reason for that is if we do not have a process through where they come, the entitlement process could get cumbersome and get lost. But we're not requiring the UR, we just require the normal pre-application meeting. This is within the KCI zoning, And there are some uses that are permitted outright. There are uses that are permitted subject to going straight to building permit, and there's uses that will require project plan. And there may be uses that will require rezoning. So we will not know those till we meet with them, and we do not want a project just going off rail without the proper entitlement process. So with that, staff's recommendation is for approval subject to, it's all corrections to go in the plan. So there's really no condition. So they will make this correction and add this in the language of the plan so that whoever gets that incentive is required to then come and meet with us. And so that ends my final presentation.
Okay, any questions on that from the commission?
So I don't see the conditions report. So are we removing all the conditions and then just having this
The
condition?
condition technically is corrections to the plan. So,
Okay.
but those conditions were something that I wanted to show that all the projects had to get a UR.
Yeah.
But since UR is not required, I want the plan be corrected to just reflect that. Somewhere in the plan, we'll tell applicants, we'll tell staff and everyone that a pre-application is required and they should follow the normal procedure.
Okay, I understand that. I'm just. There are conditions we need to get rid of or just add this?
Conditions in here, so if there were, we can.
Okay, so we're just adding this as a.
Yeah.
condition. Okay. That's all I have.
Yeah.
Hold on a
there's no-
second.
It doesn't look like the conditions are attached. So I think the question is, are there others besides those two?
Is it a question to the applicant or to me?
No, I think it's to you.
Remember, your staff report says conditions report attached, but it's not
I did not-
attached.
Yeah, I did not attach it. So the two condition reports and the first condition I took out was a requirement for rezoning to UR. The second one was a requirement for an area plan amendment if it triggers. So those I can delete. And the third conditions was just a correction to make corrections to the plan. So this addition will be to make correction to the plan. So there's no conditions after the presentation.
So basically just be removing condition 1 and 2.
Yep. And leave 3, which is just correct the plan prior to ordinance request. This language.
Okay.
I think the clearest thing to say is, since the condition report wasn't attached, is we're just proposing this condition.
Okay.
And that's it.
Okay. That is fine with me. Is that okay?
Yeah, Mr. Chair. This language is acceptable and we'll amend the plan to reflect that.
Okay. All right, with that, we'll close all testimony then and speak amongst the commission. If there's nothing to discuss, I'll take a motion, please. Can you maybe stop sharing your screen now so I can see Commissioner Enders? Or there we go.
I move to approve docket item 2 with the added condition, the correction to the plan.
Okay, you also need to
And
find,
then also accept the finding of blight.
It's not blight.
Undeveloped.
Except the undeveloped industrial
area.
Okay.
Thank you.
as you're finding a blight, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
Got a motion and a second for approval of docket item number 2 with the update to the conditions condition for the plan, and then the finding of the industrial area portion as applied. So with that, Giovanni, can you take roll call on the motion, please?
Baker. Prowl.
Aye.
Anders.
Aye.
Rojas.
Aye.
Looks like the motion passes 4-0. Thank you for bringing it in and good luck. Move forward on this thing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You hear him that time. All right. Moving on to docket item number 3.
All right, the next case is docket item 3, and we have 3 companion cases here, starting with 3.1, a request to consider an amendment to the Martin City Richards Gebauer area plan by changing the recommended land use from residential medium density and residential low density and open space buffer to residential low density and open space buffer on about 365 acres in an area generally bordered by 150 Highway on the north, 155th Street on the south, Prospect Avenue on the east, and Holmes Road on the west. And docket item 3.2, case CPC 2023-00073, request to approve a rezoning from District R80 to District R7.5 at the same location. And docket item 3.3, case CPC 2023-00072, request to approve a preliminary plat at the same location to allow for 580 detached lots on 365 acres. Olfa Baji is the staff planner.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman, members of the City Plan Commission. This next 3 companion cases, as Joe read, is a request to do an area plan amendment, a request to rezone, and a request for a preliminary plat. We have been on this case for quite a while now, and the applicant has been working with staff, the neighborhood, and the applicant also has a request before we proceed. Sorry, I got that wrong.
Hello, Chairman, Commissioners, Kurt Peterson.
Hang on. Sure. I'm trying to move this first, so just give me. Go. I have, okay, applicant's team is Amy and Doug and Kurt. So before we move forward, the applicant slide here that requested the applicant's request. The applicant has a request for the chair before we move forward. So go ahead.
Chair Kurt Peterson, 900 West 48th Place, Kansas City, Missouri, here on behalf of the applicant. Also have Phelps Engineering here, as well as principals from the developer. As we're doing a little bit out of order, right? So you have context. There's 3 items before you that are requested. Rezoning and area plan amendment, and also a preliminary plat. And what Olafu is referring to is we've been, as he said, for months and months, been working hard. And just up until yesterday, we weren't entirely sure whether the preliminary plat would have any deviations needed, because ultimately we confirmed with staff yesterday that there are not any. We're able to ask you to remove the preliminary plat from this discussion today. Instead, that will go to Development Review Committee under the code. So restating what I just said in another way, we would like you to hear professional staff's description of the request for area plan amendment and rezoning today, and hopefully receive your positive recommendation on that, but not have a discussion on the preliminary plat, which we're seeing.
Okay. That's fine. That would be docket item number 3.3, right?
Yes,
It's the preliminary.
3.3, that's correct. And it's the case 2023-00072.
Okay.
Chair, I'd note too that all the conditions, just to simplify things, went with that preliminary plat. So now the rezoning and area plan amendment have no recommended conditions.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't have an issue with that. I'm just, the only thing I say is, as big of a project this is, sometimes there's some questions that could come up, and we've only got 4 commissioners today. So we're going to establish a quorum, and so these 4 commissioners need to come back for if there's something we have to postpone to. Hopefully that's not the case, but you never know.
So are you saying that in reference to the preliminary plat or
No,
to the other 2
I'm
cases?
saying that in the other 2 pieces. Yeah. Just making sure that's clear. But in any event, I don't see any reasons why we can't hear the case today. You know, I would go on.
Also, for purpose of clarification today, the preliminary plat will go back to DRC. So what they will do is they'll submit a response letter to take care of all the items that staff has identified. And there's other additional meeting that has to occur. And that was one of the reasons it was coming forward. And I told them yesterday that both this body and the city council cannot grant that waiver. So we have to go back and negotiate that waiver with Parks and Rec. So the reason it was on and stayed to this late was that reason. So we will work that out, and also it will now be approved by DRC. So if we're not able to do any grounds, it may come back to you, or if we're approved, they may appeal our decision to you.
Okay.
But at this time, they will be going through the DRC process.
Yes, we're looking at the area amendment and the rezoning.
And the
is all.
rezoning.
So, okay, I'm good with that.
If you're ready, I am. So again, Mr. Chair, this case is located way down on the south side, Highway 150 and Prospect. Again, this is the site highlighted in yellow, just south of Highway 150. It touches Holmes Road on the west, Prospect on the east, and East 155th Street on the south. Old Richards Gabawas Airport is just on the east side of the railroad tracks, currently referred to as I-49 Commerce Center. To the northeast corner of the site is the NNSA site, and additional developments to for the east of the site. As you can see within the site itself, there are existing ponds and lakes, of which 2 is within this phase of this subdivision. And I'll go through. Sorry, I uploaded the wrong PowerPoint, but I can go ahead. So this is originally 365 acres, currently zoned R80, which everything is, and it's just a portion of the existing holding. Area plan recommendation, as you can see in this area, shows residential medium, and the conservation, those will remain. So the request today is to amend this area of the area plan, which shows a higher density from residential medium density to residential low, to be consistent with this area. This is within the Martin City area plan, and the Martin City area plan does recommend those, and their request today is to amend that, just this portion where my arrow is, from residential medium to residential low, so everything will be consistent, and then to be able to accommodate this proposed development. So with that, staff's recommendation is for approval of the area plan amendment without condition, and for the rezoning from R80 to R7.5 without conditions. That ends my presentation, and I'll take any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the commission regarding docket items 3.1 and 3.2? None, let's go ahead and welcome the applicant then.
Thank you, Chair. Kirk Peterson again. I really, based on all the detail you had in the staff report and all the FOO's presentation there, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, but I think I'll reserve time for other things for you today.
Okay, so on 3.3, just curious, if we're going to continue that one, what's the date you want to continue that to?
We want that dismissed.
Oh, you want it dismissed?
So that it can go to DRC.
So it will be dismissed as CPC and then goes back, or you can recommend it back to DRC.
So what the code says is that preliminary plats are approved by DRC unless there's waivers and modifications requested. Sometimes that's not known early enough before we docket cases for CPC. So that's how it's on this agenda. But it sounds like it's been determined there are no waivers and modifications necessary. So the proper venue to make that decision should be DRC. That's why we're asking for dismissal.
Okay.
DRC is going to have to consider it after the rezoning is approved by city council, if assuming it is, because obviously the number of lots and stuff like that is not consistent with current zoning. So we need to have it dismissed today so that we can put it back on DRC's agenda after the rezoning and area plan amendment go through council.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, with that, anything else, I guess? So let's go ahead and open it up for public testimony. If there's anybody out there that would like to speak regarding docket items number 3.1, 3.2, or 3.3, please come forward or raise your hand using the Zoom feature.
Chair, no one's raising their hand on Zoom, and it
Okay.
appears no one in the chamber wishes to speak.
All right, so we'll go ahead and close public testimony then. Anything else to add? Seems pretty straightforward. Okay, with that, we'll close testimony and I'll take a motion, please.
I move to approve docket item 3.1 and 3.2 without conditions. Is that correct? Okay.
And then dismiss.
And dismiss docket item 3.3.
Okay, so I've got a motion and a second to, with the approval of 3.1 and 3.2 with no conditions and the dismissal of docket item 3.3. Giovanni, can you take a roll call on that motion, please?
Baker,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Peters,
Aye.
Looks like the motion passes then. Thank you for bringing it in. And
Thank you for
good
your
luck.
time. Thank you.
All right. On to docket item number 4, please.
All right, docket 4 is case number MISC 2023-00005. We're going to hear from the Long Range Planning Division regarding the implementation of the KC Spirit Playbook and incorporation of the playbook's development guidelines into the case review process. And Morgan Pemberton has been the project manager. Gerald Williams is the division manager for Long Range.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
This mouse is a little weird.
Good morning, and thank you for taking some time this morning to let us give you an update on the KC Spirit Playbook implementation process. As you are all aware, I'm sure, in April, we adopted the new comprehensive plan for the city. And since that time, we've been putting together a program to implement the project, the plan rather. So we're here this morning to give you an update on what we're doing and what we're planning to do, and how we'll interact with you all in the future on updates on that as well. And Morgan Pemberton has been reassigned as our implementation planner. So she'll be managing the implementation of the playbook from this point forward. And with that, I'll hand it over to Morgan to give you an update.
Thank you, Gerald. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the City Plan Commission.
Morning.
So to start, give you a quick update on all of the things that staff has been working on since we adopted the plan in April. First thing that we are doing is looking at a new website to be the home of the playbook in the coming years. We are exploring some different platform options that give us some more customization, gives us a little bit more technical ability to embed things like maps, dashboards, things like that. So we are working on cooking up a new website that we think is going to be a lot more interactive and user-friendly. So you'll be seeing that coming down the line in the following months. We're also going to be adding some visual items to the playbook. There's a lot of planning concepts in the playbook that we think it's important to go ahead and set some common understanding of using visual elements like informational diagrams, graphics, maps, and some renderings that can provide like a really descriptive 3D view of what a complete street might look like, for example. So that is another thing that we are working on adding to the plan. We are also working with our city manager and our fellow departments to identify prioritization items. So what are the recommendations from the playbook that we want to pursue first? Most of the feedback we have gotten so far from Joe in development management, from our city manager, from our management team, is that we would like to pursue some development code updates first. So we have a list of those items that we are currently reviewing, discussing some draft language. So it is likely you'll be seeing those coming down the line very soon as well. Speaking of other departments that we're coordinating with, it's not just on, ordinances and other updates we'd like to do that related to codification, but there's also projects that will need to be spearheaded by some of our other departments like Public Works or Water. So we are looking at technologies that allow us to better coordinate with our fellow departments internally. So different platforms and software that helps us to manage these projects. As well as reporting out to the public where we are in the process on implementing some of these project items. So those are some additional tools that we are looking at. As well as updating our area planning process. Management is aiming for next summer, early next summer, to start the process of updating the city's 18 area plans. Through the comprehensive planning process, we have identified some ways that we can improve and streamline our own processes when it comes to the area plans. And a lot of information was taken from area plans and actually incorporated into the playbook. So not just the process is getting streamlined, the area plans themselves will be streamlined. And we're also looking at having web-based documents as well as we did with the playbook. And then you've also seen the implementation dashboard that is available online right now. We are kind of messing around with that to see how we can make it more user-friendly, some other elements that we can add to the dashboard to increase transparency and the amount of information that we're able to provide to the public. Particularly there, we're looking at the metrics that we set in the playbook to track implementation and how we can present those metrics clearly to the public and then present tracking information over time. So those are some of the implementation items that staff has been working on in the background since April. I see Mr. Williams, our Director Williams, has joined us.
Good morning, everyone. Jeffrey Williams, Director of City Planning Development. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commission members, for the continued interest and time you're dedicating in terms of helping the city implement the KC Spirit Playbook. Morgan has been working with her colleagues in long-range planning preservation, as you mentioned, other divisions of the department, really citywide in spearheading efforts to make sure this is not a document that sits on a shelf, a physical shelf, or sits in occupying space on some server, but actually gets put into use and application. So I thank her and the team for all of that work. She's mentioned in the coming months, you're going to be seeing modifications to processes, documents, ordinances, all influenced by the plan. I wanted to add one piece. Morgan did a great job at mentioning how this document doesn't just relate to looking at policies solely focused on planning and development, but our goal is to have it influence all city policies. And one of the policy conversations coming up right now is the citywide business plan that's spearheaded by the finance department. So it's a 5-year fiscal plan plus a series of other goals related to how the city is to perform business. Our team has worked with the finance department and provide them comments, very specific comments on elements within the citywide business plan that relate to physical development. So our guidance all along is that we're asking that team to lean on, rely upon, utilize the KC Spirit Playbook and all of its work to identify community supported action, and to also acknowledge those measures of success that have been identified by community in terms of judging how we're doing. So our hope is that the playbook will be leaned on by that plan and all the other dozens of policy documents that we have here. But basically, I wanted to thank you for the time and attention. I know you have a full agenda. Know we'll keep rolling these things out. Also know that rollout will involve awareness and engagement. As we roll out any new policy or plan, it's our responsibility always to make sure that we're doing the appropriate level of public awareness, that there is public engagement, there's access to information before a new policy or a new guideline comes into effect. And I think we all would stand for questions at this point if you have any of us, unless you've done that already.
Oh,
But
I
you're
just
not
have
done.
one more item that actually
Sure.
dovetails pretty well into this
Look
one.
at us.
So
Great.
in terms of providing information and awareness of the things that we are working on, something that you will see sooner than later is the full incorporation of the development guidelines that we put into the playbook and that were adopted with the playbook. We have created a checklist from all of those guidelines that were included, including the goal supporting criteria, which speaks to the 10 goals of the playbook, the global design guidelines, which are pretty standard quality development guidelines that we want to see across the entire city. And then also the development form guidelines, which are much more specific and site specific to a project as far as quality development. These have been turned into a full checklist that the long range planners have been beta testing through development case review in the last few weeks here, and we'll continue doing that. We're going to be creating some, right now the checklist is very large, and so we're looking at different ways that we can condense it and make it really, really easy for our staff to be able to go through and accurately assign all of these guidelines to the development case that we're reviewing. You will begin to see this incorporated into your staff reports in the coming weeks. So we wanted to let you know that we will have this more visible in the process while we're beta testing. It'll be much more obvious and visible in the new staff report and in the attachments that you'll see attached to the staff report as well. You'll see the conditions that staff believes would improve a project to bring it more in line with the playbook itself, and considerations about improving its alignment with the plan. So you'll be seeing those coming soon, and we just wanted to let you all know to expect.
Okay, thank you.
And now we have questions.
I just had a few questions. So the first question is, I need to dig into the development form guidelines, but I know that we've kind of come across some how do I want to say it? Some definition challenges in suburban areas where it comes to form and zoning, right? I mean, I think we've had one in the Northland where they said that they were a mixed use community, but it was just because they had all these different parcels that were attached to each other, but it wasn't, in my opinion, like the intent of mixed use. So I was wondering, like, first question is how are we kind of going to push some of these definitions to be a little bit more sustainable in terms of verticality and development form? And how are we kind of going to clean that up a bit?
Sure. I'd say that there's two parts to that. The development form guidelines in their current iteration is included in our most recently updated area plans. We took those, we realized they needed to be applied citywide. So that is why they were incorporated into the playbook. But we also know that in addition to form, which is neighborhood, district, corridor, and node, in addition to those forms, we also need to consider the context that a site exists within. So if you're in a denser, more urban area, it's going to be very different than if you're in a more rural or more suburban area. So we're taking the development form guidelines. We are going to be building those out to include the context. There's probably going to be some rearranging about the guidelines, but eventually it'll be a fully built out tool. We're working on that over the next few months here. In addition to building those out more and really clearly defining in those guidelines what we're talking about, the visualizations that I mentioned before, we are also using that here. So we will be using 3D modeling renders to fully explain what a complete community looks like, what a mixed use development looks like, and some other planning concepts like that, so that we can not only more clearly define it in the text itself, but that we have a lot of visual representations so that everybody is on the same page.
Okay, that's good. Because we had that one case where they had apartments and then they had a couple retail shops and a drive-through, and they were saying that because there's all these mixes of uses, it was mixed use, but there wasn't like a clear definition. My second question is on the area planning process. Is there going to be like a rethinking on what those plans do? Because I think working in my professional life, we always, when we have a project, we always go to the area plan. And the area plan, I think, is very good to kind of get most of the community on the same page, but a lot of it's like the same themes throughout, included in the comprehensive plan. So I was wondering if there's consideration to focusing more on implementation of area plans or like catalytic projects and kind of how it relates to city policies.
Gerald, do you want to expand on that?
Yeah, we are looking at how we can improve upon our area plans, make them more user friendly, make them more staff usable as well. So we'll go through a process where we'll rethink how they can be more effective and what they look like, what content they have, all those things before we start to update them so that we have kind of a fresh start. But I think there is an opportunity, and we did this with the playbook some, where every area plan had all of the development form guidelines, and instead of repeating those 18 times, we just put them in the playbook. So we don't have to have that massive paper in every area plan. So we'll look for other opportunities where we can take sort of citywide themes. Hopefully those are already in the playbook. We don't have to repeat them.
Okay.
We can just simply talk about how those different concepts apply to that area contextually, without having to repeat common ideas, things like that.
Yeah, it just seems that in some neighborhoods, there's not a ton of development, right? And so when we redo the area plans and it's just almost similar, things change, but it's like very similar to what happened 10 years ago. Like, they're like, well, we've done a plan, and it's not your fault because it's development that needs to happen, but it's just kind of like, how do we get this plan to move?
And you're very on target about the opportunity for the comprehensive plan to do some of that broader heavy lifting and reinforce things that are common across all communities. And by doing that, and development form was something that was developed kind of midway through the update cycle of area plans. And it seemed to make more sense and say, well, this is something we're going to elevate.
Yeah.
And it's not also happening alone, but you have those goal supporting actions and the global design guidelines. So it really is a suite of those three things reinforced as being important citywide, that then allows area plans to look at subgeographies, to look at corridors, to look at land use or conservation or context issues focused in on a subgeography.
Okay, yeah, because I think I think the form guidelines being across the city is really important, because then it doesn't let everyone kind of opt out of things, right? That the city has to have some multifamily in lots of different neighborhoods, and what does that look like, right? And not certain neighborhoods saying, well, we don't want that, but there's an obligation that we work together. So I'm excited about it. Thank you.
We are options or opportunities as we work through these guidelines of where we can codify some of this quality development guidance as well for citywide. So it's another element we're considering too.
And I think the last thing I would say, I think working with the city architect too, I think working for a design firm, and I don't think you guys need to be worried about design standards as much as it's in the code, but like, how can we encourage this good quality design and materials, but it's not put on planners, right? What kind of collaboration between the city architect and designers that there can be, that it's not just durable materials and different facade, right? But what does that mean a little bit more that's still flexible, but gives developers a little bit higher standards?
And as you know, the plan is covering infrastructure as well, and the city is a major driver and participant in expanding the infrastructure network. So all those design standards and other pieces are applicable for projects that we are initiating ourselves. So Morgan has referenced code changes and things that happen that affect private development, but there's also the opportunity through administrative regulation and other approval of standards that help elevate the level of design for a whole host of elements in the built environment.
Yeah, and I think I went to San Francisco for the AIA conference, and we toured the affordable housing projects that San Francisco had some stay in, because there was some money involved. And it was in Mission Bay, and the the guy that was kind of running all the Mission Bay was with us, and he goes, yeah, look at that development. And it was a market rate development. It looked like trash compared to the affordable housing development. So there is like some benefit to, I think, kind of guiding people in a different direction. And you end up with a better quality product. So
Our mantra has been, everyone deserves quality development throughout the entire city. And as much as we can do to provide clarity, clear direction to everybody involved, that's really what we want to do.
Yeah, I agree. Commissioner Enders, any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Rojas. You said there might be a new website. Is it ready to share that yet or no?
Not quite yet.
Okay, so we're still with the playbook.
We've got some bare bones going up, and we promise we'll share with you as soon as we can.
Okay, all right. I don't think we're going to any public testimony on this one, right? So thank you for coming in. We appreciate the update and keeping us informed. A lot of work going into this, that's for sure. So congratulations with that.
Thank you for the time, attention, and the support.
Yep.
We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so that's the end of really our agenda for the day. Is there anything else that needs to come before the Planning Commission?
Mr. Chair, we just want to present to you the draft 2024 CPC schedule. We haven't done that in past years. We thought it might be helpful to put that in front of you. This
Okay.
year, one of the things that's been a recurring issue is our hearings tend to fall on election dates. So we wanted to get your input specifically on what you would like us to do with hearings that fall on those dates. And Larissa will present it.
So I put it up on the screen. There are 4 CPC hearings in 2024, February 6th, April 2nd, August 6th, and November 5th. They all fall on election days. So there are 2 options. The first option would be to leave them on the calendar with a footnote on the calendar that says, the City Plan Commission reserves the right to cancel a meeting that falls on the same Tuesday as an election day. And that would be something that we would cancel if there is a potential quorum issue leading up to that meeting. And then the second option would just be to vote to remove it from the calendar and have 2 cycles worth of applications into 1 hearing.
So instead of, in this case, everyone filing by December 18th would be heard on February 20th instead of on the 6th. That's what that means. Whereas, and to clarify, these are potential election dates. The only one we know for sure is November 5th. That will be the big one.
Okay.
So
I'm kind of the
Thoughts?
opinion, leaving the footnote, leave it scheduled and then leave the footnote because it kind of depends on what I imagine the November one next year we'll probably cancel that, but the other ones, I'm sure we might have those.
Okay.
That's just just to leave them scheduled and then a couple weeks or whatever, the meeting or 2 meetings prior to that, we'll kind of look and see who's going to be here or not.
I agree. Okay. That's all that we needed from the commission. If there's anything else you want us to point out, feel free, or any questions we can answer regarding the schedule.
Okay, AIA meeting coming up. Do we have people participating?
The APA conference?
APA conference, yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
most of my staff is participating next week and I'll be there as well.
Okay, any of the commissioners going? You going?
Was it again?
Is that
The West End Crown Center. I
it's
would,
a training APA conference?
American Planning Association's local conference, Kansas and Missouri chapters, is at the end of next week. And I think Commissioner Crowell, did you register to attend?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, so we did send out an invite to the commissioners. You're welcome to. The city will pay for registration if you'd like to attend.
I'll be in Bentonville.
Yeah, Kobe, I'm out of town, but wanted to make it and hope you find it valuable. I'm sure it will be.
Yeah, okay.
We do have staff that are presenting
Do you?
sessions
Okay.
at it.
Good.
Yeah.
I forgot my last thing I wanted to ask about. Oh, the next meeting, October 17th. Can you three be here for sure?
I'll be there.
Okay. Right now I'm scheduled to be out. Won't be at the meeting. And I believe Forstein said she's going to be here, which I was shocked about that.
Oh, she will. Okay, good.
Yeah, so she responded yesterday. Do we have anybody else respond, Giovanni?
He'll say she'll be here.
Okay, so good. We'll have a good quorum.
So we'll have 5 at least.
Okay. Very good.
So maybe we take a break for lunch and come.
Thank
back.
y'all.
And then adjourn? Yeah. Thank you, Commissioner Enders, for adjusting your schedule. We need to stop the recording.
Want to seriously thank the commission for straightforward meetings lately, in spite of when we're not straightforward. We've been dealing with BZAs very, not to hold themselves for